Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Local Influencers Podcast. I'm your host, Abel, and on today's podcast, I have a special guest with me, Ashton from Happy Clouds. Ashton, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, for sure. So I followed Happy Clouds myself. It wasn't even someone on my team. I actually followed the brand myself on our Instagram before. I think it was like a week or two before y'all's launch. And
Yeah.
for our listeners, this was back in I think December, early January. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And I followed y'all a week or two before y'all's launch just because I saw y'all were on my feed and I was like on my like recommended or whatever, the algorithm, I don't know how that works. But
Yeah.
I saw like the apparel and I went and I loved like happy clouds on a gloomy day, like I love the
Yeah,
tagline.
yeah.
I'm like, let me get ahead of this. And so that's when I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? And then ever since, I think we've been kind of supporting in any way we can, sharing, and so I'm glad to talk to you.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you
Um,
so much. I appreciate the support.
yeah, for sure. So let's dive in for our listeners. Happy Clouds, like I briefly mentioned, I saw like the apparel and stuff. Can you tell our listeners what is Happy Clouds? What kind of brand is it for anyone that may not have ever come across like I said, your brand just launched as of recording this. So for our listeners, if you want to fill them in on that.
Yeah, so basically it's a super positive brand. Streetwear, like high quality casual is like what I call it. Super inclusive. Every walk of life I feel like is kind of my target market. Like I'm super size inclusive. I'm right now I have up to 4X. I'm trying to get up to 6X and I go downwards to like double, XS. So I try really hard in every way, every walk of life to just represent people and places. I'm from up north. I'm from New Jersey, so Corpus kind of embraced me in a place in a way that no other place has yet. I feel like so from just moving around a lot, I wanted to do something here, and because it's kind of small still, I felt like it would be fun to do something, just as a positivity brand completely. So we don't do anything that's not positive. I don't share anything that's not in some way positive. There's no political anything involved, nothing like literally no negativity. So like we share local brands, we collab with people that are similar to our message. We have a couple things in the future we're trying to work out with some other brands too. Like nothing is off limits for us. We just want to spread awareness of positivity. It doesn't really matter if anything else, just bringing people together and just kind of taking a step back from what's going on in the world, because even though that's important, like it's kind of also important to have a place to go that's not anything like that, where you don't really have to think.
I love that messaging. I love that you're being all inclusive with not just, people's, like you said, there's no political thing, there's no like political agenda tied to your brand. There's all walks of life for people from, very thin people to very, some would say very large. And it's just like trying to include everyone, because it's hard to get apparel. Especially from like a locally owned company for I myself am on a health journey right now, but to get up to the 3 or 4X, sometimes the local brands don't carry that because it's harder for them to get. And so I appreciate you doing that and being on this mission that you are on. Um, so what inspired, obviously, you mentioned you came here from New Jersey and that you felt kind of like welcomed. You wanted to kind of set roots here because you can see like Corpus. I always love around Corpus Christi is like we're a few years behind the larger cities. I'll say that, and
Yeah.
we're slowly starting to get there. We're slow as I interview more people. We're slowly people are start. It's starting to click, right? So like you said,
Mhm.
you said something like you noticed that like now's the time to kind of you want to put some roots down and get going. So
Mhm.
what inspired you really to say like because you could have opened any kind of business or you could have opened like an
Mhm.
organization of some kind. So what inspired you to say, you know what, I want to do Happy Clouds brand, like the brand for like apparel or accessories, and then how did you come up with the name Happy Clouds?
Well, basically, I would say like the brand is just like the beginning of what it actually is. So I'm super big into marketing and branding and everything. Like before my launch, I like blasted stickers everywhere, which I mean, I'm sure some people weren't that happy about, but I did it as safely and I didn't try to vandalize as possible. But I that's a big way of me marketing and getting it out there, and then the message first before I even launched. Like months before I launched, I was kind of doing that, and just noticing people picking up on it a little bit in that way, and having kind of like fun with it, kind of just like being like not putting a face on it, not saying what it really was or kind of what it is, and just having people kind of come to me in the beginning, and it really worked out that way to figure out like what I was doing. But yeah, we're not just staying with a brand, even though I love clothes, I love the whole thing. But clothes is my way to, I feel like, include everyone until like the next chapter of whatever we kind of choose to do next, which we have a couple of ideas, but just for the most part, just kind of getting it together and just seeing people wearing our stuff and getting involved before we launch, I think is kind of the marketing strategy for me, is just, people will be more inclined to listen to whatever I do if we choose to do like the news or a podcast or something like that, like or even like a local market or something, like people will already kind of know what's up, and then we can do it instead of the other way where like we build something and then make merch for it, which I think works, but I'm not from here. So I kind of wanted to make my mark on excuse me, on Corpus before I jumped into it, because I pretty much am downtown all the time. I'm in the process of moving downtown, so I guess by the time this comes out, I will be, downtown all the time. And just being down there as much as possible kind of just solidified, just me being there, because it's so small that like if you're down there a couple times, you start to just recognize people and just, get to know the community. So once I saw it was really cool, I was like, all right, this is the place, this is the time. Like everything is kind of coming together down there, so it's gonna be crazy. And then the name, I guess it was kind of just like, I used to like in New Jersey, I used to like tag a little bit. So my tag name was Clouds. And I like always thought it was kind of just corny, but I stuck with it in a way. And, I always liked clouds and like whatever innuendo it is, And then I, wanted a positivity brand. So I was like playing with different things and different names. And I was like, you know what, like clouds is, positive everywhere you go, no matter what you look up and there's clouds, everywhere that has a sky, even no matter where you are in the world. And, obviously, anywhere has a sky and clouds and stuff. So that was part of the positivity and like the all inclusiveness. And then like, obviously happy, just being positive, and like, obviously things happen and people go through stuff. But like I said before, just having that one place and that one Instagram account or that one whatever just to like go to, or if I do kind of want to get some type of like retail something, maybe not me, or like something, just like with a bunch of local people, um, to just, be like, okay, we can come in here, you don't have to worry about what you're wearing, what you look like, your size, like it's no discrimination of any kind. We just want you to feel included and loved, and like that's it. Like no other crazy stuff. Just kind of wanted to invent some place where I wanted to be, I feel like, or a brand that I wanted to see more of.
Oh, that is awesome. I love all of that. It's like my day job. My day job, are one of our taglines is everyone belongs, and we
That's
literally
awesome.
mean everyone belongs. Very inclusive at my day job, and it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you are on. If you like to wear your mask, if you don't like to wear your mask, if you like to take all
Yeah,
the medications in the world, or you don't want any medication, it's like
exactly. Yeah.
literally everyone belongs in my day job. And so that has kind of inspired me outside of work, and that's why I do things like this podcast. And um, I have quite a few podcasts, but this podcast in particular was is my way of giving back to the community, not only locally but also in the state of Texas. I'm opening up the podcast to San Antonio market, Houston, Dallas, the Valley, and so it's just shining a light, because I feel like anyone doing a small business owner or a brand or nonprofit organization, even I've interviewed drag kings, drag queens, content creators, whatever. I just feel like if you're doing something good in your community, like this is the podcast I think that everyone should be on. I mean, I'm biased because it's my podcast, but that's why I
Yeah.
started it. Like you're the same kind of idea as you. This is like my virtual world that I've created for people to feel safe and fun. And I always give a run.
Exactly.
I always give a rundown before the podcast, like I did with you. Like, hey, this is what you can expect, and everyone always at the very end, like I told you, when we wrap, you'll see, and I'll get your opinion. But at the very end, everyone's like, "Oh, that was like so easy. Like that was like what we're done," and it's
Yeah.
just it's just my way of spreading awareness. And so I love that you are starting with Happy Clouds, like the apparel isn't necessarily just your only mission. It's just a form of marketing to get your bigger ideas out. It's kind of your so that's very, very smart actually, because a lot of people would be like, "Oh, I have this idea for like a brand," and it's like, "What the brand? What's the brand?" It's like apparel, okay, but like you have to have an established, you have to create an established, you have to
Yeah.
create a name for yourself, but um so coming from, how long have you been in the coastal bend? I know you said you moved from New Jersey. So how long have you lived here?
I've been here for like almost 2 years, but the pandemic and everything like that, so it doesn't even feel like it because I didn't get to do anything for that whole time.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
been pretty
wild.
crazy, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
wild, and it's wild that you moved here during the pandemic, and then also developed this brand and developed. I assume that you have some kind
Yeah.
of team, whether it's one or two people, three people, 10 people. I assume you have.
No,
Do
it's
you?
literally just me. Yeah, it's just me. My brother helps a lot. He's like a big part of it. But yeah, it's basically me. I sponsor a car right now, and I have a couple models that just help me out. But yeah, it's just me, kind of just running around with my
Oh,
head cut
okay.
off, just trying to expand.
Uh,
Yeah,
well, you got to start somewhere. Believe me, like the podcast is just, I do a lot of the hosting, but like I have a small team of like 3 or 4 people that help me with just social media. But even your brother, like helping you out, that's a team, like whether it's
yeah,
one.
no, definitely.
So for Happy Clouds, I know that you mentioned the word market. Do you see that yourself being a part of local markets, or do you? I'm not saying you have plans to create your own market, but is that like something you aspire to do? Is that something that you would like to do? Is create your own, like a Happy Clouds market, or just join other
Yeah, yeah.
markets?
Yeah, well, definitely both. Like the thing too that I think like intimidates people a little bit here is like I'm from up north where like everyone is stepping on each other's toes and there's a lot of oversaturation. But here I think there's like undersaturation where people like if there's more than one thing they get kind of nervous or they feel like they have to pick and it's like you don't have to pick like there's enough room for everybody like we can have I can have love for all the other markets and still do my own thing and just a little bit differently and that's kind of like how I want to do it or get involved in markets that kind of stand for what I'm trying to do because like the message for me is really important. So as long as like everything is good and matches up with what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to say, then I'm 100% down and open to be included in it. Even if it's just as a vendor, like it doesn't have to be on a big scale. But yeah, for the future, I totally want to do festivals, markets, shows, the whole thing. I'm from the north, like New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania area, so I bring a lot of different influence, a lot of like different sound, a lot of like different just music that like the coastal bend sometimes has, but like there's like a completely different sound here, just music and podcasts and people, and it's incredible. But I think like just to bring my influence in it just a little bit different is just gonna help make it grow and just like get a taste of like what else there is, for Corpus. Like you don't have to fall in this little category. You can do whatever you want to do, and there's room for you. It doesn't just have to be, these small little couple of markets. It can be anything.
Yeah, I love that. And to add to your point, it's like I've interviewed people that have other podcasts on my podcast to promote their podcast
Yeah.
because they're from Coastal Bend, Corpus Christi area, and they're doing other kind of podcasts. I'm like, heck yeah, like I'll promote you. Like that's fine. There's room for all of us. I don't ever, whenever someone says the word podcast, my eyes light up. I'm like, what are you going to do? Give me the details. I love it. How can I help you? I get so
Yeah.
like, I live for it. But like you said, you have a different kind of voice. And for our listeners out there, although Ashton's from New Jersey, everyone has their own voice. So no matter who you are, where you're from, if you create your own thing, although there's millions and millions of podcasts out there, there will be no other podcast like your own. If you want to create your brand, there will be no other brand like your own because you as a person or individual, and you have, unless you're straight up copying someone like straight up, you know what I mean? But if
Yeah.
you bring yourself to it, there will be no one else like you and your influence. So I like that you pointed that out, and that's a good thing for our listeners. And so let's say from the moment that you moved here, so about 2 years ago, how long did you have the idea for Happy Clouds? I know, like I said, the recording of this you just launched like December, January time of 2022. How long from you moving here to getting the idea for this and then actually pulling the trigger? How long did that look like? What did that look like?
I would say it's probably been about a year in the making overall of just like something. Like I had a couple other ideas, but like they just didn't mean anything to me, and I really wanted to like, all right, this needs to like mean something because I was born in New Jersey. I went to school in Pennsylvania, then I moved back to New Jersey. So I have like a lot of Mac Miller was a heavy influence. So there was like a couple of brands that I was thinking of that were like kind of like something similar to that, but I was like, like I don't know, I wasn't really into it. And then sometime like during the summer, I just started drawing like these weird little cloud shapes, and then it kind of ended up being my like cloud character. And I kind of gave him a little name. It's Nimbo is his name. It's
Hmm.
like to go with the cloud theme and like the whole thing. But I change him up based on like the holidays and the theme, and that's like kind of what I'm doing now. Like it'll be past Valentine's Day, but I have him like with like little like kisses on him, like on a kissing booth thing, like the whole thing. So based on the holidays and like all that, he kind of changes in that whole thing. But that was like the idea of just like one thing that I could change and just keep that as the brand. Like I don't like I'm very into marketing and branding and stuff like that. I'm like a light social media manager or like a I do all that fun stuff. So I thought it would be more important if I just have one thing that's recognizable that I stick with. That's like one or two different variations of what I'm doing, and then like a character or a logo, and I just stay with that, and then just barely change it. I was trying to figure that out, and that was more pressure than I feel like me like thinking of anything else because I'm like, oh no, like I don't want to change it, I don't want to worry about it or whatever. And then I also really wanted to do it myself because like I'm not the best artist, but I really try to be like super hard. And my friends, like one of my best friends has done like is a crazy graphic designer. She's worked for like IBM and does all this crazy stuff. And now she works for like some crazy company in New York and is incredible. So it's like when you have someone like that, you're like, you know what, like maybe art's not for me, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it one more time. And then I ended up doing this, and I was like, you know what, I'm happy I did because I really like where it ended up.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's like me with my for the local influencers, I have sunglasses and I just have like different either iterations of a sunglass, but it's like still large oversized sunglasses because that's just I love sunglasses. Like I have probably 10,000 pairs. And then throughout the seasons, I change it. Like during Christmas, there was like Santa hat, or there was,
Yeah.
pumpkins, and now, for summer, I have like a palm tree and a beach umbrella, and so. But like, I want to keep my same branding because it's more recognizable, it's easier,
Hmm.
and I think that's important for a lot of people. I don't think that I've talked to someone about. I don't think I've talked to anyone about that as far as entrepreneurship for people listening. Um, the get coming up with a brand conception, like you have to come up with, like, people don't realize, like what is your brand, like that's more than just a name and an image, right? It's like, what is my color scheme, what is the font that I'm going to use on most of my things.
Yeah.
And across my podcast I use the same types of font, the same types of, like, and people don't think like that, but it's because we're all humans, we're like visually, like, things tracked us visually. So like if I see big sunglasses, or if I see like a cloud, like you said, Nimbo was his name. If I saw
Yeah,
Nimbo,
Nimbo.
if I saw Nimbo, I would think, boom, right away, Happy Clouds. What do they have going on?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
my big oversized glasses. If people are scrolling on their feed, they're like, oh, the local influencers posted today. And so it's like,
Exactly.
so I'm glad that you brought that up because I don't think I've talked to anyone about marketing. That's a big deal,
Hmm.
and kudos to you for like using the stickers, and now you stepped it up to apparel, and all of this marketing is
Yeah.
leading up to bigger things, and it's like that's already a lot. You know what I mean? That's a lot. So
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's
yeah.
cool too because like I only have 4 pieces right now. I have 2 different stickers, like I'm getting more. So it's like it does take a while, but it's not impossible. Like what one thing I did too, like, and I'm not like for secrets. I'm like, let's tell everyone everything. There's room for everyone. But what I do is like I will go and buy one color hoodie like I have now, like this one on, and I'll bleach dye it and give it like some life. And it kind of has a cloudy background. I'll do it a couple times depending on what the people want. Like if they want more of a white, like clouds. This one's more of like gray. They all look a little bit different. So instead of like paying for two colors, buy the one color and bleach dye one and keep one solid. So you're saving money. You know what I mean? Kind of put your own spin on it, make it a little bit different. Like do things like that. You don't have to have like $1 million to do it, but you have to have like some drive and maybe like a little bit of money, like just something to just get started with. But yeah, I'm like I work a lot of jobs. I don't have like any money ever, like it's just I do this more because I love doing it and I want to wear something I really like and that means something more than like I feel like I'll ever make money off of this.
Yeah, you have to invest in yourself because no one else will. Like people, like you have to
Exactly.
whatever like money I get goes back into like my collectible collection. I collect Funko Pops, but that's also a part of like
Awesome.
it's a tax write off because
Yeah,
I do a podcast strictly for Funko Pops and Pokemon. So it's for my work as
that's
well.
amazing.
I'm like it's research, you know.
It
So
is research.
uh,
Any money spent on Pokemon is a good investment in my opinion.
it is. And then I'm literally doing it for my research for my podcast. So it's like, yes, I'm gonna write it I'm gonna write it off.
Exactly. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, and that's why I have a virtual background as well, because I don't want people to see the hordes of my Funko Pops. And I
Yeah.
don't need any of you people judging me on YouTube, okay?
That's so funny.
so Ashton, before we wrap, where can people find you? Where can people find your brand, social media, website? Now's the time to plug all of that good stuff.
You can find me on Instagram, HappyCloudCCTX, and HappyCloudCCTX.com. We post all the time. I have 4 pieces up right now. We're going to be launching some Valentine's Day stuff soon. You can meet up with me in person if you're local, Corpus. I can deliver whatever you want to do. Yeah, that's my stuff.
Awesome. And so I will have the links to the website and the Instagram in the bio. I'm sorry, in the description of the podcast. So wherever you are listening, you just scroll up and click on it. It will take you directly to the website and or Instagram. Ashton, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending time with me. I know it's been a long day. We're recording this in the evening, so thank you for this. Um, I appreciate your enthusiasm for the Coastal Bend because it doesn't always have the best light, but I am glad to have you a part of our creative here as a creative here. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
For sure. And for all of my listeners, wherever you are listening, please go out into your community, make a change, and do some good. That until next time, guys, have a great day.